Welcome to Soul Sisteries.
I absolutely loved just to hear everything that he's doing. My perspective was smaller because I don't know Dr. Sorensen as well as you and others in my family know him. So I think it was just really great for me to hear what he had to share. And of course, now I have more books on my Amazon list that I need to order. But I love just that vision. Like I just keep seeing me on this mountaintop now. Let's look down at the world below and see what is out there, totally within my grasp, but that I don't necessarily see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, everyone, thank you so much for being here with us. What we're talking about is talking with Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen, the lead minister at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living in Encinitas, California, and just such an inspiring speaker, so motivational and very real and authentic. And that for sure is my takeaway from this talk, and also, the number of times I've listened to him in the past. Boy, he gets going and you are just going with him. Like, oh my God, I feel it. And you want to shout whatever it is that you shout. Amen, ole, whatever it is, whatever you're feeling, you want to get up and sing it out for sure. And it just is the real deal. He lives this.
And you can feel the hope and the inspiration, and it like makes me want to like jump up and go, okay, let's go do it now. There's no time for sitting here. There's things to do. There's things to be.
And it's all okay.
Yeah.
It's all okay. Ooh, I feel that like in my soul, in my core. It's all okay. Without any pretense around, like, we don't pretend that the crap exists. The hardcore, the challenges, the struggles. We don't just, as we hear in some philosophies, right, that we don't even allow that that's so. No, that's real. That is very real lived experience. And there's through and beyond, and taking something from it, which is also beautiful and rich.
I had the little image as he was saying, like, pop your head up, through all the muck, pop your head up. And I see like the whack-a-mole, pop your head up and then duck when you need to duck, but pop your head up and keep coming back. And I think that is it, not to keep coming back for more muck or to get beat up, but keep coming back because you're going to see what else is out there. You're going to see that higher perspective. You're going to see the sunshine, whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Whew, I needed this today.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Christian, everybody enjoy listening.
Feels like I've just been to church.
Perfect. So, hello, here we are with the wonderful Reverend Christian Sorensen. Let me tell you just a little bit about him. We're so delighted to have him here with us today. Reverend Christian Sorensen, DD, is the eminent spiritual leader of the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living and a past president and community spiritual leader of the United Church of Religious Science, UCRS, worldwide, now United Centers for Spiritual Living. Dr. Sorensen was born into religious science and has been a lifelong student of metaphysics. Both his father and mother were ordained into the ministry on the same day as Dr. Sorensen in 1985, the only triple family ordination in the history of the movement. His credentials include a doctorate of religious studies earned from Emerson Theological Institute, a Doctor of Divinity, and a Doctor of Religious Science received from UCRS. He served as senior minister of the Ventura County Church in California from 83 to 88, co-founder of the Costa Mesa Church in California in 82, and co-creator of the Oahu Church in Hawaii in 1988. Dr. Sorensen is also a prolific author, certainly a speaker, a world traveler, and an avid sportsman. And we are so eager and excited to speak now with Dr. Reverend Christian Sorensen and to hear about his hope through, which he shared with us, but we're going to let him share with all of you his hope through journey, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. So welcome. Thank you for being
Hey,
with us.
thank you to both of you, and what a full bio you got. So thank you for that generosity, and I trust just all is well. I guess you're in Connecticut today, and so what
Yeah,
is it? Fall? Are the leaves beautiful? Are they over? You got
Absolutely beautiful here. Yes. Chilly and fall and orange and red and beautiful colors out the window.
I mean, it's
oh,
really, it's like out of a movie set. You're like, wait, this is actually real how people live in this gorgeousness.
oh,
And this sweet little town with the gazebo in the center and the old stone church with the steeple and the pumpkins everywhere. It's just delightful.
wow. Well, I just recently got back from Montana, so I got a little bit of that fall color going on there. Got a ranch there, and I wrote a book called "Living from the Mountaintop," which was inspired from that area. So when I was writing this book in my mind or my consciousness, I would always go to this mountaintop overlooking one of our lakes and just sit there and imagine. And so when you asked me to come on your show, I thought, hey, well, it would be great to talk about hope from a higher perspective, from that mountaintop view, from looking like kind of down at our life when we find ourselves in those precarious situations and we feel ourselves being constricted or tied down or just stuck in life. If we could just remember to rise our awareness above it, like an airplane taking off and the ground gets further away, and you begin to see so many roads and ways out and ways through that I think that hope is really begins to become more plausible in those challenging times if we can just rise to a higher perspective and recognize that there's so many more options than what we're caught up in our a myopic view of a situation, and so we can be caught in the pain, the difficulty, the scarcity, the heartbreak, the agony, and it can be just debilitating. And so to step out of a dark night of the soul, sometimes just be able to catch a higher glimpse is able to shine a light that allows us to maneuver a way in which we hadn't known. And in retrospect, we're able to receive the gifts of the pain and the sorrow and the sadness when we trust that there is more, to what we're in.
That
Right.
makes such perfect sense. But let me just ask you right there in that spot of yes, a higher perspective for sure, but the how of pulling yourself out of I'm down at this land's view and I'm in the mire and the muck. The how to lift up to that higher perspective. Just talk a little
Well,
bit about that.
one of the valuable things when your guests are listening or watching the podcast is they begin to expand their awareness of possibilities. And so to have inside of our spirit and our soul a bit of remembrance of those good times and those greater possibilities, that we don't have to be stuck, that when we do become stuck because we're doing this human experience, we can remember, you know what, somehow this is going to play into my soul's evolution. I'm caught up here in a soul lesson, and I'm being stretched and put through a washing machine, and who knows where I'm going to come up once I've gone down. But if I can remember that this is part of the journey and that this too shall pass. I mean, in Montana, Glacier Park, they have a road called Going to the Sun Road. It's one of America's iconic must drives, and it's got an incredible amount of hairpin turns looking down in these endless valleys with spectacular views and mountains and glaciers. And but you're going very slow and you're making a turn, and it's like, when am I going to get to the top of the mountain? When am I going to get up there? And you finally get up there, and it's like, this is it. There's just, yeah. But see that you miss the whole point of it, because the whole point is the journey. The whole point is the drive. The whole point is each one of those turns or the fears and the concerns. And when the fear comes in, you get to choose whether you're going to be courageous in this moment. And being courageous is believing that something is more important than your fear. Something is more important than the sadness. Something is more valuable in that moment that will pull you from being stuck in the mire. And so sometimes when you're in the depths of despair and it is a dark night and it seems like it's never going to end, and you're like you're underwater and it's like your voice is just muffled and you know they can't hear you, and you get your body out and you go out with your friends, but you're not really there. You're still in your pain or the difficulty, and you're making a good showing, but there's still not that connect. Sometimes it's important to be in the sorrow, and when you choose to get out of the tough times, go through the motions, because eventually something will click. And a lot of times it isn't, ta-da, everything's better. It's just things begin to be a little bit lighter. It begins to be a little easier. You've come up in a different place. You're different now, and it's still a little precarious getting back into life and being who you are now after this moment. It can happen with a mystical experience too, where all of a sudden you've changed and you can't really pinpoint it, but you're different now and you're in the world in a different kind of way. And the vibration that you are emanating from your soul essence isn't quite matching where you once were. And you got to be okay with that. You got to trust that, which is why it's valuable to listen to alternative perspectives from where, that stretch your thinking, that lift you to a higher perspective. So you're not caught up, because when you're caught up in your pain, when you're caught up in your difficulty, that fear and that concern can run rampant and take you down. I mean, one time, Trevor, my son, and I, or not one time, but we used to spend the night in the summertime in the tent on our front lawn on this mountaintop. But we got a lot of things that run around out there. Turkeys, no big problem. Occasional deer, but we got bears too in Montana. We got not only black bears, we got grizzly bears. Not just deer. We got elk running around. We got moose running around. It's wild. So one night, Trevor and I are out there in the tent, and the head sometimes starts stirring about those bears, because there's not a lot between you and a bear. There's a little piece of canvas, and just imagine his snout checking it out. And we're lying out there, and so Trevor's asleep, and I hear this like growl, and it's like, oh no, I'm about to get eaten. There's a bear, it's going to devour me, and my head starts spinning, and so I get really quiet and I listen, and all of a sudden I realize it's my stomach growling and not a bear at all. It was the beans I had earlier in the evening that were, dancing through my stomach. But I went on this far out trip that, it was the end of the world. And what happens in our life when we get caught up in one of those down, sad, hard times in our life, we start allowing our mind to run its tape and its story and get us all wigged out, and it's real and it's dramatic, and it goes on for days or weeks. Or people live in their dramatic vision of their life rather than, getting still, trying to find that higher perspective. What really is going on here? Something happened. It's human. And now what? I'm willing to give some time of my life to this, but if I'm going to be in this world still, then I got to move forward. And I know that, I have got all the support, from this dimension or the next, that is there to assist me, just as long as I have something to remember that's calling me to go forward. And that's the beauty of the higher perspective. It allows you to see something greater than the pain that you have been in. And so it's valuable to be in it for a while, but you're going to be in this world. You can't stay there the rest of your journey in this life. And we're dealing with time in this time-space continuum in this plane. But the truth is, we're dealing with that which is timeless. So if you're in your muck for, a few days or a year, is it time to wake up from that dream, that experience, that nightmare, that challenge? I mean, and once you wake up, it's behind you. It lingers, it teaches, it empowers you, but it doesn't need to be the dominating force in your life once you take a higher perspective and realize it plays into my being, my character, my totality of who I am, but it's not all of who I am.
I love that image you created of being on the mountain, and everybody can't go to the top of the mountain, in the middle of the pain, in the middle of the muck, right? But we can envision that mountain. And so even just kind of having that idea in my mind of, okay, let's close the eyes and picture myself on top of the mountain. And now I could really see everything instead of just what is right, within my peripheral vision right now. I like that idea of being able to see all the options in front of me instead of just this one isolated view that I have right now. So I haven't read the book, unlike Donna, so that's something I'm going to have to read.
Oh, there you go. Gotta get your copy. And that's beautiful what you're saying, because, I love trees, but I also love the beach. And, I got palm trees, but it's not quite the same as, being lost next to your lake in a mountain and just sitting there and watching, nature unfold, and the animals come up to the lake and have a drink, and the fall colors. But what you two are well aware of is the multidimensional aspect of our being, and that's the beauty of being not locked to a body. This body of ours is this great vehicle we've been given to tool around this planet and this vibrational plane in, and it's wonderful and it's magical. But we got to remember, this is not who we are. It's we got this model, and this is what we got this go around. And it's great, but it's not who we are, and who we are is able to go to those spots in nature. And so often I try to go there, or I used to try to go there and pull the image and picture. I take myself to that place. But what I learned is I can only bring a little pieces in that way. But if I allow myself, rather than try to bring it into me, I allow myself to go there. If I actually allow myself to step into that space, I then recognize that I'm actually part of nature, that, you got the trees and the water and the wind, and Christian, who's part of this. And there's so much more than what my mind can conjure up. I can begin to see the infinite aspects of where I'm sitting, and looking out from there, as opposed to trying to bring it to me. I enter into that space. And you can do this beyond just a location. You can do this through time. I mean, I can remember, I got once locked in, not locked, but I went to Egypt, and I got to the pyramid at Giza, and it's this little tunnel you got to walk up to get into the king's chamber. And the lights went out in the king's chamber, and the guard up there brought down the person with their candle, or let them down. And so I had a flashlight. So I scurried up that little passageway into the king's chamber, and no one was in this dark room. So I climbed into the sarcophagus of the king's chamber, and I'm in this dark room, just my buddy and I, and just meditated. And it was just amazing being able to transcend into that time and that space of being in there in the days of the kings and the sun gods, and being able to experience the vibration that is always available, that is there for someone who wants to just tune into it. And so in our life, we can always tune into a higher realization. You're stuck, you're calling forth hope. You choose to dial into the other things that are available to us. We're not bound by the body of this time-space vibration, but you can converse with those that have left this world recently or a long time ago. It is all ever available in the multidimensional totality of the subjective field. And so as you choose to recognize that my hope will bring me beyond the constraints of this environment, this body, this time, this pain, you are able to become available to so much more that is seeking expression through you. Ernest Holmes, he founded this philosophy called religious science, which has become the Centers for Spiritual Living. He said there's infinite opportunities that are forever seeking expression through you. It's there. You're not stuck, but if you get caught up in running in the game of your mind, you'll feel you're stuck, but you're not stuck. It's just that is the belief that you're running right now. And so you've got to begin to look within your heart and soul and recognize that if I want out, I have at my disposal infinite possibilities, and it's not bound by the physical, but rather it is allowing myself to enter into this space that is other than what I am conscious of in this moment. And we do that by tuning that dial to a different frequency. And all of a sudden, we are able to enter into that.
So I don't imagine, Dr. Sorensen, that you always had this perspective. I know you Donna mentioned that you were ordained in 85. What got you to this perspective? What got you here? Can you share a little bit about the story that got you here?
Sure. I Yeah, both my parents were ministers in this New Thought philosophy, and just New Thought is it is America's unique contribution to the world body of theology. You got your Judeo Christian, the Abrahamic religions, Muslim in there. You've got the Eastern philosophies. Um, but America's contribution is the New Thought to the world body of theology, and what differentiates it is that we deal in the realm of thought. We deal in the realm of consciousness. It came from the transcendentalists, Emerson and Thoreau, all those guys and women back in really the Athens of the 1850s in the Boston area, not far from where you guys are hanging out. But anyway, so I was blessed. I was brought up into the New Thought philosophy where you take responsibility for your life. You believe that what all religions say. You believe that that we're dealing with that which is infinite, and the religions say this spirit, this life force is infinite. So here's the math here: infinite, one plus nothing leaves only one, right? Infinite. It can't be infinite plus Christian, right? That includes who I am. But see, that's where a lot of the religions begin to break off. They put something outside of themselves. And so what our philosophy is that anything I would call that as part of this divine nature, the love, the beauty, the abundance, the wealth, the ease, the health, whatever it is, that's part of my nature. That's part of your nature. I mean, it may not be all of who you are, and it may not be what you're experiencing right now. But just like I was part of nature, I'm also part of this divine nature. And so our philosophy in the New Thought philosophy is that we are able to direct this kind of thinking. So I was blessed in a home where both my parents were ministers in what was called religious science or science of the mind. Back then, it's now identified as centers for spiritual living. I'd done preliminary classes, and when I was 19, I was going to Cal State Northridge. Major was drama and business, kind of dichotomy of each other, but actually it works really well for ministry. I'm on the stage and we got budgets to deal with, so it works out well. But anyway, I at 19, I just didn't want to go back to the college. It wasn't. It was just too many. I don't know. It wasn't quite right. So I ran off to New Zealand, never to return. And a 19-year-old guy, mom and dad, and he knew I'd be back. Mom devastated, her son's never coming back, and it lasted all of 2 months. But so yeah, moms, don't worry, they're coming back. But anyway, so I'm down there at 19. I'm down at the South Island in New Zealand, then surfing up north. I'm waiting for the storms to clear off the Tasman Glacier. I'm staying at a youth hostel all by myself. The only book I'm reading is Ernest Holmes' book, this thing called You. And I can remember being out, waiting for the storms to clear off the Tasman Glacier under this rock, in the storm. And I'm sitting there and I'm just meditating because I brought up with this. I'm doing this. I've taken the preliminary classes, and all of a sudden it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like the light gets brighter, and I begin to like a train or something. But it's like all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm looking into these lights. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting up on the stage, like Christian, 20 years later, like this 40-year-old, and standing up there on a stage underneath these lights that are shining, being the speaker and the leader of a spiritual community. And I was like, wow, that's I can see it. And it's like, and I asked my 40-year-old guy, I said, hey, how do I get there? And he says, follow your joy, follow your passion. And so it was in that moment that I knew I was to get on this path. And so I came back at 19, enrolled as late 70s, enrolled in the School of Ministry. And I graduated in 82, and it was an amazing journey. But this is the second part of the story that I found fun. Is and Donna, you've been to our place here. We bought it in 98. It took us 4 years to get permits and building and money. We moved in the fall here of '01. I can remember the first Sunday stepping out onto the stage underneath the lights, looking at all the people, just feeling the magic of a community that came together. You talk about hope. We had no money. We had no possibility of buying this place, getting this place. We got it in a bankruptcy court. The city didn't want to give us permits. It took a while, but we did it. It was just truly from a higher perspective, a vision that called us. And I stepped out on that stage this morning. The lights are in my eyes. They're kind of bright. And I'm kind of focusing in. As I'm focusing in, I'm looking out, and all of a sudden, I see the young 19-year-old Christian sitting under the rock in New Zealand, smiling at me and saying, how did you get here? And he said, I followed my passion, I followed my joy. And he said back to me, don't ever lose that. Keep following it. And it's like, wow, time just blended into one. It was just a trans dimensional time lapse moment there's something launched me back then, but as I got here, I was able to thank him back there. It was it's hard to explain, that kind of stuff. So that's how I kind of ended up in the ministry. And I had a lot of fun, getting to this point. I've had nothing but joy. I've appreciated every day. I love what it is I do. I love to wake up in the morning. And it doesn't mean there aren't tough kind of dynamics in running the place, or financial things, or personality things, or sad, things that break my heart. But the hope of that has a higher perspective knows that this too shall pass. This is one of the twists on the sun road that, oh my goodness, I'm not going to go over the edge, and I'm not going to finally get to wherever the destination says that it, but I'm going to remember that every twist and turn on the road is part of the experience. And it's for me, my ministry and my life has always been about joy. I start every one of my Sunday mornings, what a joy it is, to be here with the two of you today and to share with those, and I at 19, I didn't really fit the common look of a minister. I wasn't really that father figure looking guy at 20. I was a surfer dude, paddle out in the waves, go skiing whenever I could. But what I learned is what was important was to be authentic, was to be who I am, to be as transparent and share my pains and difficulties and things like that.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, and I think you've already answered that, actually answered beautifully. What you do in front of so many, reaching out in limitless ways to the world, requires a tremendous amount of confidence to do that. But it sounds like what you're saying is it's not really about the confidence. It's about that authenticity, and it's about leading with joy. And you do that and the rest follows. Am I putting words in your mouth, or you speak to me a little bit about that?
You did good. Yeah, you can just do the rest for me. That'd be fine. So it's the energy about, life, it can be tough enough. We have enough painful moments in our world. And so I like to bring joy into it, and the laughter and the and the lightness. My higher power is joy. I think Teilhard de Chardin said that joy is the infallible sign of the presence of God. And so that's the way I choose to play. Some people prefer to go with solemn. You come to a seaside celebration on Sunday, it's a celebration. Some people want to go to a devotional service. Some want to go to a contemplative service. When you come to Seaside, you're going to get celebration. You're going to get joy. You're going to get jazz music. We got San Diego's voted best live performer here, Rebecca Jade. She just sings incredibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we got great music. We laugh, we cry, we love one another, and we have community. It's not about one person who is the leader. It is about, we are a community that does this thing together, and we call it community. It's our sangha. It's our place, and it's open, it's welcoming, and we confirm people, wherever you may be on your path, you're welcome here. It's a place without judgment. It's a place of kindness. And what we have found is that in a world where there's so much toughness out there, the hope is that there are these pockets of light that or that are open and welcoming, and it's about healing. People come in, brokenhearted, downtrodden, defeated. And what our message is about hope. And you get to that place because you take a higher perspective. We've all had our times when we have been down, but when you're doing your spiritual work, you begin to build just a wonderful resource of knowing that I have something to draw upon when I have eked out, all I can from this dark time, and the hope it gives us the courage to keep going.
Yeah. And you've used our word hope several times, and some people kind of look at this idea of hope or they have no hope, and they think, oh, people who are hopeful are handed things. You're handed things, and that's why you're hopeful. So, you said building. I think you're building hope. Is it that you just find hope on the mountain? Do you create your own hope? Where does the hope come from?
Well, I believe the hope brings with it the possibilities. And as you can lift yourself above the meme of darkness, that vibration of the heaviness, if you can poke your head out of it, you begin to see. I don't approach things by conjuring it up. I try to approach things by making myself available to that which is greater than. I like to, step into that realm of infinite possibilities and begin to look around and see what I resonate with. I think that we struggle so hard attempting to make something work, to make the hope. It doesn't have to be a struggle. That's the value of finding the quiet time to sit and to listen. As we listen to, is talk about the lowly voice, it could be your imagination. You begin to develop your ability to become familiar with what your inner voice sounds like. I would like to say it's a big booming voice. Hey, Christian, do this. It's not, for some it may be, but the key is everybody has to take the time to become familiar with how the inner communicates with them. Some it's images, some it's hunches, some it's chills up the spine, some it's very clear words, some it's pictures, some you feel like you're being communicated with and talked to from the other side. There's not a right or wrong. There is developing your skill set to become, I don't know, you call it intuitive, you can call it what you want, but really one of my goals in life is to assist people to become familiar with their inner voice and to be led by that in life. And so do I, make hope happen? Do I conjure it up? What I do is, in the midst of my pain or difficulty or sorrow or challenge, I have, because of practice over and over in good times, light times, happy times, whatever times, daily, whether it's a time or not, I stop and I listen to that something inside of myself without expectation. I'm supposed to get this, or I'm supposed to get that, I'm supposed to be helpful, I just allow myself to be available to a higher wisdom that is forever looking to be seen, to be heard, to bring a greater expression into this world. And so as I allow myself to become more available, the hope is the natural thing, and it actually moves beyond hope. Ernest Holmes in one of his spots says hope's a subtle illusion, because it says that, hope can say maybe it might not work. But what we want to do is go to the place where it's absolutely knowing that this hope is unfolding in a way that is my doorway. It's the threshold. It is the revelation that has come with a jubilation of the joy that is ever seeking to be known in this vibration. And as I become that in my life, I add to the collective consciousness of humanity. And the gift that I get to bring, the gift that you get to bring, is the hope, is the light, is the joy to help offset the bombardment that news and media and network and the social media is just filling people's minds with this incredible fear, and it's taking this grabbing hold and creating an addiction that people need to check their phone. People will have be dinner with somebody, they'll check their phone. Why are you doing that? It's like you're with people. Why would you have to see what is hip and what is happening? happening. And so what we get to do with our authentic expression of joy and love and compassion, caring and kindness is begin to help shift it, because there is always going to be the darkness, the sadness, the pain, the evil, and it's going to be a lower meme of people's movement in this dimension. But there's always going to be a higher possibility. And as high as you get, there's always going to be a higher one. You know, the great avatars or the Jesus or the Buddhas or the Krishna or whoever, you don't think they stopped when they checked out of this place in their soul's evolution. Man, they had this plane down. They knew that they were the masters. They knew that they had what was, they knew that they were in charge of their body and their environment and their world. But they didn't stop. I'm sure, it is about continual evolution, but we've been left with a legacy from the avatars that says we are not our body, and that any moment we can move to a higher perspective, a higher meme, if you would, and not be victim, but rather the architect of our reality, of our world. And if you don't like what you're living in, then you get to change it. I know you can blow it up if you want to. And if things are stirring, sometimes your world will implode or blow up on its own. And sometimes things have to fall apart for them to be rebuilt and to come together for that which is next in your world. And those that you have traveled with thus far on this dimension may no longer be part of the next iteration of your soul's gift to humanity. And nobody wants to hold you back. What they want you to do is to be able to launch you into what you've come here to do. So we have to move beyond the pain of where we were in order to be used by all that have come together to support you to get to this point, so you can be the magnificent expression that our world hungers you to be. And you're the only one who can deny that by buying in and remain stuck to the pain and the darkness. But you've got a light that is stirring. And when you can take the time and the stillness to feel it, to see it, to hear it, to experience it, you become that transparency for the higher expression of spirit to have its way in this world. And it needs us all. You have come to this world for a time such as this to be that for which you have been called to be. Don't deny that. Get bold, be great in who you are, and step into a place you haven't stepped before with the courage of not knowing, but trusting with that greater hope that Spirit will provide all that is necessary for you to know, to do, and to source you in the vision that you have said yes to.
Woo! It is so just incredibly inspiring, but you're always inspiring. I love listening to you, Christian, and God, the passion, the joy that comes through what you share. I know the authenticity of that, and I can feel it and receive it. And I'm sure you hear that all the time, that you're inspiring, your talks are inspiring. I know that's what I hear people say about you always. But so what inspires you? What gives you this feeling that I now have listening to you going, yes, what is it that inspires you and drives you?
That right there. That's it. It's just you getting turned on. I'd love to turn you on. It's like that's why I love doing Sundays. I mean, you guys, you're welcome. We you can watch us live. 11 o'clock West Coast time.
You do.
Right here on our website. That's my joy. I watch healings all the time. It's a healing philosophy. And and there's only, I'll give you the secret to healing if you want it. It's very simple. And it doesn't matter what is going on, what the pain, what the condition, no matter what is going on, there's only one cause. That's it. It's just one. And it's a sense of separation from the source. That's it. If it's infinite, you are that. And if you got anything that is not it, it's because you are creating that in your reality. If you can get that out of your thinking, you heal that sense of separation. I have seen broken bones go back together. I've seen diabetics no longer need insulin. I've seen brain tumors dissolve. I have seen just amazing testimonials, relationships come back together. Finances just explode into wonderful realms of possibility. Podcasts go just viral. You just get rid of this sense that separates you from the infinite. See, you are the infinite expressing. Now, is this life force having a good time with you, as you, or is it like just being restricted? Are you going bold? Are you going courageous? Are you doing what needs to be? So what keeps me going is, inspiring. You say, well, that means in spirit, enthusiasm, in theos, in God, that's what I do. I get to pray every day. I get to read, write, research, share it. I mean, I love what I do. I wake up in the morning excited. I seem to be waking up early and earlier all the time because I get excited getting going with my day. And it doesn't mean some of the things I've got to do are not as fun, but you know what? It's that's why I woke up and prayed, with people before I even left the house, because somehow people just feel good when I do that. So I try not to think about it or my talks. I just trust stepping into that space and allow that spirit to flow. And what happens is I'm source, man. I'm turned on. I get jazzed. I get excited. It's like if you guys can even see how fast it's moving through my awareness, only a little bit's coming out, but there's so much more, and it's the life force that heals, because I have seen these healings going on. It is that which transforms. And I want you to have that. That's what gets me excited, is as people begin to experience it in their life, they begin to have greater hope that they are not victims of circumstances or the headlines or the fears that we were getting pumped, because we were being pumped more fear all the time. We're in a country that seems to be wanting to divide itself. And once again, you want to heal that sense of separation. There is no large or small. That's only in our mind. We're dealing with that which is infinite. So there's not a large or small, it's just infinite. So whether you're trying to heal a schism in a relationship or in a country, it is about saying, what is that common denominator that we have? What is that common vision that could unite our country, our relationship? And so that's what happens when you have a higher perspective, is you begin not to fester in the minutia of the littleness. You begin to think in an ever expanding kind of way. And it's in this expansive way, you can see how all of us connected make this world. You fly on the plane, all these houses make up our town, this town makes up our county, this county make up our state. The further away you begin to do it. And so when people are in pain, what I like to do is sometimes try to get them to lift a little bit higher, so you can see how this experience, and sometimes as horrendous as that experience is, somehow, I mean, when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to get that, but somehow it's playing into something that's supporting your life in a greater way once you can get out of the pain of the dynamics of it.
Yeah. So I'm picturing you on the stage, and I know you mentioned Rebecca, and I love her music. So I think, during the pandemic, when everything was online, it was amazing getting to hear her. But what would be, other than the music you hear every Sunday at church, what would be your walk-in song? If here you are coming up to the stage, coming up to present in front of everybody, what is your walk-in song?
Well, the walk-in song is whatever everyone is singing together. That's the joy for me. I prefer the good beat. I like the bass. I like the high energy. And we got a jazz band going on, and the horn's blowing, and the bass is playing, and the pianist is going. I love all that. But the magic in the music for me is when everybody is singing together, and I walk in and they're hugging and shaking hands, and it's just the joy is starting, and when it's going, and then. When I actually go to speak, I like a high energy song to step into the high vibe, because it's like downer or out of tune. Somebody's missing notes, I cringe, but I get into the passion and the love and their beauty. So I definitely like high energy. But when I'm done talking, I like the ones that will touch your heart and make you cry and just go, wow. My heart can break open even more, so there's more space to receive the gifts of this moment. There's a magic of community. I mean, we do online, and there's great things and just wonderful stories, but there's magic of being physically in community together with hundreds of people who are singing and clapping and laughing and hugging and loving. And it's, it just and it takes all of us, to do that together. And so, it goes on online, but also goes on in person. And that's the beauty, with Seaside, during the pandemic, you mentioned, we didn't close down. What happened is we have a garden outside. So we met outside, the state, locked down the place. But as soon as we were able to get back inside before people were allowed inside, I brought in the band and I brought in our sound team and stream team and Rebecca and and the crew. We continued to deliver. And we said, people, you know what? You want it live, you can sit outside, and yeah, or you want it at home with a mimosa, you can have that too.
Woo! So much great messaging, Christian. I'm so glad to be able to talk with you about all of this. So clearly, you've done so much beautiful work here in this life that you have to live. You are doing the beautiful work. You are an idea guy for sure, but you're also a guy who makes it happen. It's not just about the idea. You execute. You get out there, you write the book, you speak the speech, you get the place in Montana, you do the stuff. You realize, I know that on the other side of this life, because this life in this body has its time frame, and you go wherever you go. How do you hope, or do you even think about how you hope to be remembered, or what that legacy of this life you have is as you move forward?
I don't really care about legacy. It's, my joy is in the moment. It's just like right here. This is so good. It's just being able to talk with the two of you on the other side of our continent. That's so incredible. I just I just so hope the place a little brighter. Touch some people that continue. I'm about now, and when I'm done, I'm done. Where I'm going is probably where I came from. When I came into this world, I came from somewhere. I'm going back into that place that I think the energy is a little finer and faster. I think this world, things are slowed down. The vibrational level here is slower, which is why we have this density in these bodies that are pretty much made up of just energy. And 99.9% it's all space in those atoms or something. That's what I am. I will continue to be, and I trust that there'll be the continuity of my awareness. But what's also different, I think, about with those on the other side is when we're with somebody here, it's like I'm with you and I can't be somewhere else. But I think when we're on the other side and when we're consciousness, we're like able to be more spread out in our awareness. So when I'm talking to my dad on the other side, it's not like I'm pulling him out of a classroom somewhere. He's doing his shtick over there, but he's also available to communicate, with me and say, "Hey, son, man, nice job, man. I'm proud of you. Way to go." So I think with that that omnidimensional expression of possibilities, the consciousness is able to be present in a wider place. So like on that plane, you're looking down at the house in this city and the house over there, you're able to see both and be available, in both awarenesses without taking away from who you are. I think when we're not operating just conscious of the physical body, that what we have is a broader realm of awareness and not bound to a particular delineation of that. And so at nights we probably go there, and I know you two travel there all the time. You don't have to give up awareness. You just have to let go of the framework of belief that has you bound to a linear location, and then you can commune with whoever you want.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Shall we jump into our rapid fire, sis? What do you think?
Oh, yep. So
no, this hasn't been rapid fire, huh?
Oh, no, this is going to be some quick questions.
Oh, man. Okay, I gotta get ready.
We'll just throw them at you. So, what color is hope?
It is, my goodness, I would say it is. I like my shirt color, maybe about this color here. There you go.
I think that. What, is it periwinkle? I'm like, what color is that? Is it more gray? Is it periwinkle? Is it blue?
Oh, you gotta come hug it for yourself sometime.
There you go. Yep, you're gonna have to see the visual to know. Very good.
like ocean color, which is changing and very fitting for you. And I know your passion and love for the ocean. All right. So, what does hope sound like?
Ah,
That's gorgeous. Go, sis.
I'm sitting there in that big sigh. The meaning of life is
joy.
Uh, hope is
Um, love made manifest.
and higher perspective is
A mountaintop view.
beautiful.
there we go. I mean,
Doesn't it? Oh man. Okay. Those are easy. It's just
yeah, that was it. That's our rapid fire.
okay. Well,
We're
how
not a
fun.
hard sell at all. This is a soft and gentle place to be.
Okay. Hey, I got a new book coming out tomorrow, actually, November 1st. It's a 365-day book. You may remember Catherine Economo, who's assistant minister here at Seaside, recently made a transition. But before she left, she and I wrote a book called Wholehearted Living, An Enchanted Journey of the Soul. It's a 365-day book of inspiration. It's a great way to do start a new year is to grab that. So it'll be on Amazon. Love for anybody, any of your viewers pick it up. And once again, we're able to, make a difference. So Catherine, like I said, left the world too soon, early 50s, left a 16-year-old daughter behind. And so just made arrangements that all those sales go to her college fund. And mom didn't get to know that, but decided that would be a beautiful thing. So,
Yeah, mama knows it now for sure.
yeah.
That's gorgeous. Wholehearted. It's interesting. I have a book that I've been working on called Wholehearted also. So I love that title. That's
Yeah, I
gorgeous.
think it's kind of I don't know. Brene Brown really made the concept of wholehearted living current, I think.
Wow. Love Brene Brown. So tell us more. Tell us about more where people can find you.
Well,
And
go to the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. It's called seasidecenter.org. And you can watch Sunday morning live. I shared with you guys at 11 o'clock West Coast time on Sundays, but you can watch it anytime. There's a Patreon group. I continue to give fresh content too. And I got 11 books. So you go on Amazon, you pick up anyone that's still. My favorite one really is Living from the Mountaintop, which I was speaking from today. It's definitely it's about being the mystic you were born to be, and it's a self-directed journey from your lower vibrational chakra energy of the earth being trapped in prison. And by the time you get to the last chapter, you're just merging with the light. You just blow out through the top, and you're living with the ease and the grace, the sense of bliss and ecstasy and all those fun kind of things. But at the end of each chapter, there's self-directed questions. So it's a real fun book study. So if you have a few friends to get together, at the end of each chapter, there's a guided meditation followed by questions that you can work. And so a lot of different communities have used this book. It's 10 chapters, 10 weeks, and it's just fun to do with people. One person can read the guided meditation. You can put it on a recording if you want to do it yourself. And then you do the questions at the end. And each chapter has quotes from mystics, and it just utilizes the different directions of the indigenous people, things like that.
beautiful.
And
Go ahead, sis.
I imagine if people are local to Seaside, they can probably even stop in there at the bookstore and pick up your books.
Yeah, they do have mine. We don't have many books anymore because people mostly get their books online cheaper than bookstores can sell them. So, but don't tell our bookstore I told you that.
Well, I know, and having read the book and knowing it well, it is very much infused with this hope that we're talking about that is replete throughout it. And
It's such a great way to live. And as we said, it opens the door, it lets the light in, it shows the possibility, it allows you to step into a place that is higher than despair for sure. And it begins to lead you down a path that allows you to enter a kingdom where all possibilities for your world begin to take form, and the ways and the means and the how-tos for it. So
Christian, we are so grateful that you came to share this time with us right now. It really was beautifully inspiring. We're so glad to have captured it on tape, but also we know that it's all, spoken, it's out there in the world, it's out in the ethers, right? And living and breathing and taking form and shape. And so thank you for sharing.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, thanks for including me. That was a lot of fun. You two be well. Love you both.
You too. Mwah.
Bye.
Hugs and love to Callie and your boy.
I'll do it. All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today on Soul Sisteries.
And thanks for sharing stories with us. We'd love to hear your stories as well and keep the conversation going, absolutely keeping the hope going. So we're really hopeful that you'll connect with our guests as well who have great stories to share. Go ahead and follow them in various social media platforms or live venues, wherever it is that they're performing and sharing what they do.
We would love to have you follow us on all of our social media platforms, subscribe and rate, as that will help us get our message of hope out to others.
Thanks for listening to Soul Sisteries.